You fucked it up. Not Zyuohger, obviously. Zyuohger is still being excellent. I'm referring to, of course, Ghost, and its definitely underwhelming finale, but I'll get to that. This week, Zyuohger was having the team focused on recovering the cube whale as part of another two-part to lead in their acquisition of that mecha, to keep it from Bangre and, his attempt to hunt it down and presumably kill it or take it for himself or whatever he actually wants from it. I'm assuming he wants to kill it to, do something. I'm not exactly certain. What is his plan? Either way, they try summoning it with the Great Monarch symbol, Great Champion symbol. I don't care what the name is at this point. Yamato's newest power-up, and it doesn't work. Or at least it doesn't work in the way they wanted it to, as they do find it's serviced in a bay far from them, but they expect it to just come to them just because they had the thing that summons it. And that's not how that works. That's not how it's worked all series, but considering that Yamato gained the respect of the spirit of Ketas to even transform into Zuo the whale, they had to at least try. I mean, why not? It is a bit of a silly scene, but not inappropriately, before they try to look into other avenues when they then hear of cube whale surfacing in the biggest plume of a waterspout the world has ever seen, which kind of clues them in, because obviously waterspouts like that are only formed naturally out of weird circumstances that are consistent, or from whales. Yeah. This, of course, tips off Bangre as well, so when they go in to hunt it, they're also fighting him. So, once again, most of the episode is a morphed fight scene, and it's not bad because intricate into all of that is actual progression of the story arc. So it's not like Ninja or Ghost, where they'd have the fight scene and the fight scene would override anything else to progress the story of the episode. Or, a nonsense would distract things and they'd not really ever finish their point because they keep getting distracted by some other nonsense that would either disrupt the fight and the conflict or whatever. And they'd never just get back to it. That doesn't happen with Zyuohger thus far. But yeah, we get a number of good sight gags, especially with Misao stepping up and being all serious and contributing to the team, and there's something going on with him. I'm not sure if it's because of the words Guy said to him last week, which, if it was, it would be continuing the excellent work of continuity between the Sentai series that last two-parter gave to it. But, I think what's the phrase I want to use? He's been screwed over a lot with his bipolar depression antics, and it's like he wants to do better than that, but he's so far going the other way, he's screwing up even worse with how hot-blooded he's being, and it's noticed by everyone in that this is actually the best joke in the episode, is that when Sella, Yamato, and Bangre dive into the sea to try and reach Cube Whale, he throws out his fishing line to try and reel in Bangre to stop him, and out comes Sella, and she's flopping around like a fish, and it's legitimately a laugh out loud moment. And then those who follow my Twitter probably saw the comment I made on that on a clip of that scene, and I was going like, "Catch and release, Misao! Catch and release!" Yes. This series is just so full of fun moments that makes it really enjoyable. Even we've not really had much of bad from it. I remember there being one, but I can't remember the specific situation off the top of my head. Yeah, Cube Whale rejects all of them outright with a bit more force, and it does that through the rest of the episode, just blowing up anything that's actually coming after it. And this is probably going to tie into the Zooland arc, obviously, because it's a cube creature from Juland. So, I'm expanding more on what we've kind of heard about the Zooland corruption from Bud and whatnot. I'm beginning to really pay credence into the theory that Zooland, in its hubris, did something bad and lost the support of the cube animals. That would definitely make sense for why it's off on its own like this, like most of the other cube animals have been. It doesn't quite explain the main six's mechs or where Genis got Misau's 3, but it's still building credence to that theory about whatever Bud is so up in arms about, that he was stealing the cubes to keep them separate. Where was I? Yeah, cube whale attacking things. It's definitely really powerful. It makes sense for a final mecha for the series. I mean, presumably they're going to have the Condor from the movie appear in the series. That's simply how they do these days. It's kind of a bulky thing. It's like it'll look good in its robot mode, but it doesn't look it. I've seen the toy adverts. It's not going to look good in the final combination form, since 8 of the mechs are going to be entirely its legs, which is just that's going to look so odd. But the other part of this is getting Genis's Death Galians back into things. They've been absent for a while while Bangray has been doing his story arc, and just pulling back and seeing the entertainment he brings. So it's kind of subverted the actual main villain force, which tends to happen in mid-series antagonists and the like. But I like how they're starting to bring him back in, because it's presumed that Bangray's going to meet his end pretty soon. I mean, at least, unless they supersede that and make him the new true villain of the show, which I honestly don't want to happen. I like Genis's whole shall we play a game mess, especially as now that they know what Bangray is after, they're sending in their own forces to get their own enjoyment out of actually beating him to his target. Like a double cross, since he double crossed them, and it's actually showing a pretty good level of villainy, especially since Kubal had his world destroyed by Genis. He wants revenge, and he just tried partnering with Bangray to get what Bangray wants, and then Kubal will get what he wants, aka Genis dead. So there's definitely a bit of an expansion on what he's scheming, since we've not had much in the way of elaboration on that yet. But at least they're remembering the plot point and not just forgetting about it. Of course, all of that is subverted by Cube Whale wrecking everything. Something kind of funny with the mechs this week, since everybody was occupied at different points, they couldn't do the full form, so they did a wild combination in that they combined Cube's gorilla, tiger, lion, and elephant in that order. So elephant was forming the bottoms of the feet, and then Zyuohger Wild just had really long legs. And I find this a bit odd because it's not. I don't think they did this I don't want to say they didn't do this the right way, but it's just that the costume looks odd, and I think it's because of how they assembled it, using a mix of the Zyuohger Wild parts, but then at the bottom they placed the Wild Zyuohger King legs, because when you look down at them, they have the what are they called? The weapon cube animals attached to the bottoms of the legs, like they would have if they were forming Wild Zyuohger King. So is that just how they decided to cheapskate around the whole swappable legs mess? I mean, I like the idea. It plays more into the toy line where you can do that, but it just seems really odd to do it that way. We also get, of course, more fights with Zyuohger, and I am still loving this suit. They don't make him as uber powerful as they did during the team-up. There is no more cracking of the moon from the finishing move, but it is still a bit odd in how it still arcs up and then rams right down on the monsters that Bangray revived to fight them. And he did 3 this time. We'd usually only seen him do 1 or 2, so he's being a bit more liberal with his powers. But I'm concerned about how Yamato is using that gun to blast the beam straight down to the ground, because if you're shooting a destructo beam at a planet, usually bad things happen to the planet. Admittedly, the gun is powered by the Earth itself, but it's still concerning. Ghost had its final episode this week. No, it didn't. They still have the +1 episode that is an effective advertisement to the next series, while providing something but very little of a proper epilogue for this show. And you should really be saving those epilogues for the team-ups. I mean, I like Drives, but there's still that Ghost Drive continuity issues from Drives movie and Movie War Genesis, which is fully, at this point, non-canon. Now, of course, the problem here is it didn't resolve anything. It resolved things, but it didn't really resolve anything. Of course, we have the appearance of the Great Iser, which is the recycled movie writer suit for the Gunmiser, fused form with the Great Eye, which is this woman we'd seen before, but had no real expansion on their character outside of the web videos I had not seen and are not necessary viewing for the show. So you're kind of baffled at who this person is, because, again, they're not necessarily viewing. This person was never seen in the main series itself, and the web videos aren't exactly the easiest to get if you're not, torrenting all the sub-files. And, they, of course, get their asses handed to them with literally no difficulty on the parts of the Great Iser. As you do, because all this series has been, in its latter half, is a series of curb stomp battles. There has been little to no struggle at all throughout this entire thing. And of course, Takeru uses 7 of his 8 finishing moves, because he has not unlocked the last one. And it's because he has not unlocked the last one that he can use to destroy this thing in literally 1 hit, when that is not how this should work. It should be an all-out brawl with everything you have to just equal the power of this enemy, and it really should not be curb stop. You should be giving it all. It should be a protracted fight, and it's not. Again, it rushed it, and it makes everyone else spectators, and I mean including Makoto and Alan, who have nothing to add to this episode at all. I mean, if you were going to just have him stand there and do nothing, why not actually kill off Makoto? And, like last episode, before the whole thing with the fake, this just makes the fake even more irrelevant, because Makoto has no purpose in the finale. Especially since, after the fight, Takeru contacts with the Great Eye and asks her to revive everyone killed by the Gunmiser, and Makoto would have been killed by the Gunmiser, and you would have something more dramatic and a reason for Takeru to not ask for his life to be revived again, and show more of the nobility that keeps getting segued because he's a fucking imbecile. You're screwing yourself up again, and because of that, there's no resolution to really anything from that. And you know what the irritating thing is? The last emotion Takeru learns about is love. Yes. And you know how he learns about it? By touching the Tokan Boost Soul icon, the one with his father in it, so he can be sent a memory of his father's about his mother. And when we could have really used this? Right after the revelation with Adele and Takeru crossing memories, and Adele's issues with his family, and how he was taunting Takeru about never having a mother's love, and how Adele had abandoned all of those things, and so as, in his moment of weakness, when he learns that Adele was the one who murdered his father, which is still straight out of left field and is not justified with anything else in the story, maybe have his father come to him then and share this memory with him, so you have the love bomb amongst them, and, not make that the Deus Ex Machina of the final episode, not really, and, give it more of a point of Takeru going all out and using literally all of these emotional states that power Mugen to actually defeat the Great Aizer. You wasted your opportunity! And worse, it really shows how this was done by an Ultraman staff writer, as this is kind of the same downturn, lackluster way they did the Ultraman Tiga ending, which I talked about a few months ago, and at least there's a build-up of everyone else doing something to revive Tiga with the power of sunlight. It then fails, and the Deus Ex Machina is the actual problem of the episode, as it, again, is not justified in anything else in the story, and that is admittedly what happens here, too. It's not built up to correctly, because you switched focuses in the series. You switched from getting connections to understanding other people, except Kakeru is a fucking human being. He understands people. He's disconnected as a ghost, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have those emotions. That doesn't mean he doesn't understand them. That doesn't mean he doesn't feel them from the others around him. Especially in the last few episodes, it's been pretty obvious Akari has a more than platonic affection for Takeru that, could have more given this than, in this last episode, than a memory of his mother that shouldn't, it shouldn't key him into this of a mother's love when it's taken from the perspective of his father. His father would love him as a parent to a child would, but that would be in the same way that his mother would feel to him. So the only thing new he would feel from his father to his mother is the love his father had to his mother. And for the son to be feeling that is really, really, really creepy. Hey, you're undermining yourself again, guys. This has not been a good series. So yeah, he defeats alone the ultimate form of the Great Aizer, which destroys the Parka Ghost, which leaves the underlying Gunmeiser to all be defeated by the 15 heroic icons in their manifested form, without, of course, once again, Grateful. Takeru joins them to beat it down as just the Ore icon, just using the Ore icon, and, that would be reflective of the journey that Takeru's been on if he could do this on his own, or, would just further weaken the enemy of the series to just so weak the base form that every other thing in the series could kick the ass of, got his ass handed to them. But you know what? At least he has all the other 15 heroic icons backing it up, so it's not completely in that context, until it is, because, they just give supporting attacks to Takeru beating down the Great Aizer. And yeah, they don't even help him supercharge his finishing move against it. He just defeats it with his base level Ore icon finishing move, and it's just that you don't have the power to do this. You really should not have the power to do this. You say it's with the power of human emotion and the connections of others and bonds of others, but that is all supported through Mugen, not Ore. If it's reflective of the Ore being Takeru's own soul, his transformation is powered by the power of his own soul, and his soul having become stronger, that's not made clear in the episode. Hell, if that was true, then you would have never needed to transition to Mugen if that was being facilitated. Admittedly, there is no longer a revival ability for the Gunmeiser, as they're all united into one. They lost that ability. they lost that ability last episode too, but it didn't stop them from doing that with the power of the Deep Spectre icon. And hey, there's still a Deep Spectre icon around that's connected to the Gun Miser's powers. The last time they used the clone copy of it to do that, and since Deep Spectre is connected to the same source, should be able to do that. They don't. So anyways, Great Izer's destroyed, all the Gun Miser are gone. Because the Gun Miser are gone, the Ganma icon system is gone. It's presumably not gone for the ghost icons and gear, because that equipment was not implicitly tied to the Gun Miser, aside from Deep Spectre. It was a technology that was capturing the souls of individuals, yes, but it was not. The Ganma system was separating it from a living body and supporting that body while also having it active as the icon. The ghost system has these dead individuals have their spirits, which are and taking them from an attachment to store them in the icons, which are a different form of attachment for that spirit. So they should all around be still around. Yes. They're of course not, but it's not like they are admittedly derived from the same types of technology, just more refined, so I'll give it a mulligan for now. Next episode's probably going to show them all still being around anyways, so it's not that big a deal. But yeah, Takeru meets with the manifestation of the Great Eye, and after asking everyone to be revived, gets revived himself because he's evolved beyond humanity, and the Great Eye goes off into space on its own and wishes to meet with him again, so is pretty much just acquiescing to his request and giving him a reward at the end. Makes it easy! Admittedly, he had earned it by, fixing the whole Gun Miser mess, which had been draining them dry. It saved them, it granted him a boon, all that. Though I don't get why the Great Eye was saying the whole Gun Miser mess was its own fault, when it was actually the fault of the people of the Ganma world. That was their mess created from trying to protect the Great Eye, which was saving its people. So, the Great Eye, its only role in this was being a compassionate individual and agreeing to help these people gain mastery over death. It's not like this was all its fault for agreeing to help them, but again, we don't have much exposition on what the Great Eye really was. We only get second-hand stuff as throwaway lines, so I don't even know. But yeah, Takeru's revived. Series ends with them kind of celebrating a bit, even though their place is wrecked, and also they've completely forgotten that with everyone else, they also forgot that with everyone else that Takeru's father was supposed to also be revived, as was alluded back when they got the Tokon Boost Damashi in the first place. Oops. Especially since, the wish to revive everyone else was to say that everyone killed by the actions of the Gun Miser to be restored to life, and we see a montage of everyone returning, including the inhabitants of the Ganma world. Yes, meaning that Adele and Adonis are both alive again as well. Adonis is Alan and Adele's father, and they both died because of the actions of the Gun Miser. They were literally killed directly by the actions of the Gun Miser, meaning they should be alive again. And if that's true, then that defeats the entire purpose of the heroic sacrifice to free you of your sins thing. Meaning, yeah, you kind of have to address how Adele has been a horrible, horrible, horrible individual and, ordered them to murder his father. If you're going to do the you're forgiven part of it, you kind of need to actually show them making up for it. Hell, what about Saionji from the early side of the series? That's another um, spot in this because he was killed trying to commune with the Great Eye. But as was established, the Genmaiser protects anyone unauthorized from communing with the Great Eye, meaning they had to be the ones that killed him when he failed to connect to it through using the 15 icons. The 15 icons were supposed to be the things that allowed that bypass to the Great Eye to get around the Genmaiser. But that also failed after the Genmaiser adapted. So is Saionji alive again? We don't know. Is Adele alive again? We don't know. Is Adonis alive again? We don't know. These are all unanswered questions alongside all the other unanswered questions about the series, which have been left to fester because, once more, they focused on action over giving proper explanation, or character to anyone. I know people have issues with fours. I can get that the characters could be annoying at times, but there was an arc, there was a competently executed story arc. You might not have liked it, but it was there. It's just, Ghost kept passing by any of them. Wizard was more about helping people on a weekly basis to prevent them from becoming more phantoms and, discovering the secrets about Koyomi, and Beast. Okay, Beast didn't do much for the series, I admit. Mayu's arc with getting revenge on, I'm forgetting her name, Medusa, for taking away her sister. There was that. There was Gremlin's arc for trying to get back to being a human sociopathic serial killer. Phoenix was... Okay, Phoenix is another weak point for that series, and there was a progress with... I'm not defending Wizard very well, am I? I kind of really don't remember that series very well. But it still executed its day-to-day stories decently, even if they could be a bit unmemorable. But this show just kept repeating itself on the same points with little to no progression. Wizard at least had different people appear, had different problems every week or two, and I really think Ghost is the worst writer series we've had of the Neo Heisei era due to how much it's done nothing. Everyone's back to zero. No one learned anything. There were no consequences. I can't even use the just this once everyone lives quote from Doctor Who because they failed to answer whether everybody actually lived or was revived or how they could be revived if their souls were used as power for these things. So they would be literally nothing left of them, and... Can we just forget this year happened? It's not like it affected much. Most of the original arc as presented in the Drive team-up was disregarded, as they didn't really deal with spirits. They just messed with souls in another manifest form, and I'm betting that's going to be what's up with Exide as well. As oh yes, Exide also had their early bird cameo in this episode after they had one in the movie. It's pretty much the same thing they did with Drive last year in promoting Ghost at its end. So here we had Kamen Rider Genmu, who is the palette swap version of Exide, appear early in one of the earlier Mook battles, and just pretty much appear and kick people's asses with a normal bicycle. The entire time I was watching that scene, I kept thinking of the Queen song. I forget the specific name of the Queen song, but it pretty much has the lyrics go, "I want to ride my bicycle, bicycle." And that's pretty much what was going through my head as he kicked their asses with a green and pink bike. I've got an issue with some writer breaks where they don't actually do what they're supposed to kill the enemy involved with the impacts. Here they actually mediate that with showing the energy collected to kill them, so it's a decent cameo. It does nothing for the series, however, which is not how the early bird cameo should really go, especially since you already had one in the movie, and you reserved the last episode of the series to promote a show that is premiering the exact week after. I mean, if you're not going to wrap your show properly with giving the details, giving proper closure, then why are you going to advertise the next show when you could have spent time on doing that? I mean, Ghost already got more than Drive and Gein did, and they actually properly closed their stories. With any luck, X-Side will be better when it premieres in 2 weeks. Yeah, I've got pretty much, that's all I got for you. For those still watching the Daily Motion page, Mega Ranger videos 1, 2, 3, and 5 were taken down. I am restoring them this week. They should be up by the time I post this video on Thursday the 22nd. I don't know why I just said that date, since you'll obviously be seeing this then. Otherwise, I will see you all next week.